Aloha and welcome to the Embodied Healing Self podcast with your host, jenmons. Each week, join me for soul-inspired, conscious conversations around embodied healing and awakening to your soul's purpose. Thank you for listening in. Aloha, my podcast family. Welcome back. Happy New Year. I hope you all are having a wonderful start to 2022. And how are you guys doing? How does it feel to let go of 2021, to reflect on the challenges and the learnings and the growth and the takeaways and the gratitude? How does that feel for you? I'd love to hear how you're experiencing it. I also want to thank you, my podcast family that keeps growing and growing. I love when the platform for hosting the podcast, which there are several, you can listen to this on Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, and also we do YouTube videos for you every week. But at the end of the year, the different platforms send you data analysis of how your podcast is doing, and my podcast community just keeps exponentially growing. So thank you to each and every one of you for listening. Thank you for sharing with your friends and family. Many of you sent me messages telling me that you shared certain episodes that really resonated, and I am just deeply, deeply grateful. So today's topic is the cycle of indecision and how it's self-sabotaging. So, self-sabotaging cycle of indecision. And why are we talking about this today? Well, because we're starting a new year. Many of you are thinking about, how do I want this year to look like? Some of you might be setting New Year's resolutions or intentions. I prefer intentions, which is more of a way of being. I love to create a word of the year. And of course, every year that I create a word for the year, it never shows up the way that I think it's going to, which I think is, just a reminder of how we're in this practice of surrendering. So let's talk about a specific type of self-sabotage known as indecision and how it can show up in our life. Because right now, many of you are thinking, what do I want to do to start this new year out right? Am I going to sign up for a new gym membership? Am I going to look for a new holistic doctor? Am I going to invest in my well-being by hiring a coach or a nutritionist or a life coach or some type of person to support me? Am I going to join a group, a support group? Am I going to go on a retreat? Am I going to spend more time with my family? Am I going to try meditation or journaling? Am I going to insert whatever it is that you're considering doing to set the intention of making this a better year? So I'm curious if you are any of the following: a person who procrastinates, a person who experiences a lot of self-doubt, a person who often feels overwhelmed and overworked, a person who struggles with making a decision, and a person who still seeks external validation and is afraid to let other people down. Chances are, if you're one of these, and there are probably others, if there's one that I didn't list, I'd love to hear what yours is. But you're probably a person who struggles with making decisions. If you're one of those people that says, if it wasn't for the last minute, nothing would get done, and you find yourself putting things off until the very, very last minute, what is that about? If you're one of those people who sees this amazing offering that you want to take advantage of, like going on a girls' trip or purchasing a program or your favorite sweater or traveling somewhere, and you just can't click the button You just keep putting it off and keep putting it off. Why are you procrastinating? What's underneath that? Are you afraid of missing out? Are you afraid of making a decision? So here's why indecision is so self-sabotaging. Because think about how it feels when you're in limbo land. You've got this, let's just say there's this amazing opportunity that you could take advantage of, whatever it is. You can insert anything here. You've got something that you really want to do, and your mind comes up with the excuses of why it's not available for you. I don't have the time, I don't have the money, I don't have the support. Those are the top three. So if you don't make a decision within 5 seconds, according to the Mel Robbins book 5-Second Rule, which I highly recommend, you got 5 seconds to make that decision. Because after that, your mind starts playing games, the ego comes in, and the more time goes on, the louder the ego gets. So indecision is basically inner conflict. Is there really any greater conflict than inner conflict? Inner conflict looks and feels like self-defeat, lack of trust. It feels defensive and harsh, maybe even angry and resentful or sad. It feels disappointment. It feels unworthy. All of those experiences which would not be considered healthy probably don't feel good, right? So if indecision is inner conflict, feeling like self-defeat, lack of trust, defensive, angry, resentful, self-disappointment, take a moment to think about how you want to feel. And why is this happening? Because awareness is the first step to get through the indecision. Oftentimes it's happening because of fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of the results not being favorable, fear of letting somebody down, not getting the validation that you hope. And so it's easier to just kind of ignore it and keep pushing it off. Fear of, insert the fear. Fear of being hurt. Fear of making a mistake. Right? Like there's all these reasons that we keep ourselves from making a decision, because as long as we don't make a decision, we're kind of just really avoiding what it is that we want and avoiding how we don't want to feel. We don't want to feel rejection. We don't want to feel like a failure. We don't want to feel like we disappointed or let somebody down. So what we do is we just kind of push it off. Maybe we're afraid of letting somebody else down. Maybe we're afraid of letting ourselves down. I would encourage you, when you notice this, because the first step to work through this is awareness, to have a conversation with your fear, with yourself, and ask yourself these two questions. What does it say about me if I do? And what does it say about me if I don't? Because there's a story that we create. The story around what happens if we're rejected, if we're wrong, if we let somebody down. And then ask yourself, what happens if I do? What happens if I don't? And just be with that story and recognize it and know it. What we need when we're feeling this way is to come to an awareness of where the story came from and drop into the body. Because if we can come to the body where we can notice where we're feeling the story in our body, then we're not in our mind thinking anymore. We're dropping in and connecting with our breath, with our body. We're not in the story anymore. So first, we need to raise awareness around the story and bring clarity on what does that version of you that believes the story, what is it that you want and need? So how are you feeling, and what do you want and need? The second step is to have compassion for ourselves. So first step, awareness. Second step, self-compassion. Indecision is an easy way that we give our power away. If we don't make a decision, we don't claim our inner power. We don't claim radical self-responsibility for our choices. It says that we don't trust ourselves, that we don't trust the experience, and we don't trust ourselves to respond in a healthy way, even if it's something that we don't like. The third step to move through indecision is to choose trust. Trust yourself. Trust in the experience, because we don't really know what the outcome is going to be, even if it seems unfavorable in the moment. If you can choose to look at every decision not as a failure or a bad experience, but a learning opportunity. If you can look at it like there's no real wrong decision, there are better decisions than others. But are we ever really truly wrong? Well, yes, in some cases we can absolutely be held accountable for doing things that we know are not right? There's clearly criminal things that are wrong. But I'm talking about our day-to-day decisions. Making a decision says, I trust in myself. I'm not putting it off on somebody else. I'm not blaming it on the fact that nobody's here to support me. I'm showing up and owning my worth. I'm not making excuses about not having time or money or support, but I'm choosing to trust. Trust in myself, trust that I am held, trust that all is well, trust in God, trust in the process, trust in the journey. I'm not saying this is easy, because it's not. It takes a lot of courage to trust, especially in ourselves. But there is no better person to trust than yourself. It's owning and claiming your sovereignty, owning and claiming your worth, not giving it away by trusting in someone else. When we trust in others more than ourselves, we do it because we don't believe in ourselves. Hear that one again. When we too easily trust in others, but we don't trust in ourselves, it's because we don't believe in ourselves. So awareness, compassion, choosing to trust, make that decision. Number 4, make that decision. Make the decision and be okay with it. Just be okay with it. That limbo land of yes and no, and then putting it off for another year, putting it off. All of a sudden, I write a letter to myself at the end of every year, and I don't accomplish everything that I want to every year. And then I look at the years that go by. My example is writing a book. I started writing a book in 2016. So much has happened since then that I realize I am meant to write a couple of books, but it's been on my goal list for 5 years. And I need to make the decision to hire a book coach. I paid for a program, I got 80% done, and then I never took it to the next step. So I'm setting the intention. It's uncomfortable. I'm sharing with you live coaching myself right now. Like, I feel uncomfortable because what if I choose the wrong person? What if I invest money again and then I don't get the result I want? So just make the decision, or make the decision to take it off your goal list and just say, okay, you know what? It's not happening this year. Just be okay with that. And then lastly, when we make the decision, we let go of attachment. And this is the most important step that we take. We let go of the attachment because we are aware of our subconscious beliefs and our patterns. We're aware that we're afraid of failure. We're aware of the inner conflict. We're aware of the self-disappointment, the lack of trust. We choose to have compassion for ourselves and others in the experience. We then choose to trust ourselves, and then we make a decision. Yes, I'm going to sign up to go to the gym this year and pay the annual fee and show up every month, or no, I'm not. Yes, I'm going to choose to eat better this year. Or you're going to go to the pharmacy with an F, or a pharmacy with the PH. Which one are you going to do? Proactively take care of your health, or take care of it now, or you'll be forced to take care of it later. Make that decision, make that commitment, and then take that next step. And don't think about it, just do it. Make that decision. And lastly, let go of the attachment. So I invite you, as you move forward this year and you're looking at all of these wonderful offerings on how you can improve your life and how you can become healthier, become happier, enjoy more freedom, make more money, live your dream job, find your soulmate, and all the things that you hear me offer through my coaching programs, whatever it is that you're looking to accomplish this year, make a decision. Make a decision that's aligned with your values. But don't allow yourself to be in limbo of what might happen if you fail, or based on a decision that you made in the past. Choose the present moment. Drop into your body. Notice the experience. Allow yourself to trust. Get clear on your story. Make the decision and let go of the attachment. I'd love to hear what decision it is that you're working through right now and what it is that you're willing to take. Thank you so much for joining me again this week. I look forward to seeing you all next week. Aloha.
The content of this podcast is to educate, inspire, and inform you of pathways to an embodied healing self. It is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice from your medical doctor, therapist, registered dietitian, or nutritionist for any questions you may have regarding your diagnosis or condition.
Hello, friends, and thank you so much for joining me today and being a part of this community. I know there are many other podcasts that you could be tuning into, and I am deeply honored that you chose to listen in and be present with me today. I love and cherish and appreciate you, and I want to invite you to join our tribe and Facebook group under jenmons.com/connect. I would also love to gift you your guide to discovering and overcoming the self-limiting beliefs standing in the way of you living in optimal health, more energy, fulfillment, and self-confidence to create an embodied, healthy, whole you. You can find this at jenmons.com/tribe. I also have one small request to help spread the love. In order for this podcast to show up in the feed of social media platforms of other like-minded people, we need reviews. So please head on over to jenmons.com/podcast to leave a review. You will also find other inspiring episodes on that page. So I personally read these reviews weekly and would love to give you a shout out and share your kind words with our listeners. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook as jenmons or the holistic coach with the W, holistic, and jenmons, JENMONS.com. Thank you so much and have an amazing day. Aloha.